Hey, what up, world? So, Greg Schwartz, article writer at Bleacher Report for the National Basketball Association, wrote an article. Kind of glanced over, wanted to jump in to get some more content in the NBA. I know with the past couple months, everything's been kind of dry, and there's been a lot of reruns with NBA as well as scenarios, trade rumors, and kind of speculation with updated news with Adam Silver and the board. So, wanted to jump here on this article. With Greg Schwartz about the most realistic potential trades of the NBA offseason. I know I've dropped around a couple videos or so and different scenarios of the directions I think each franchise should take with potential trade packages. I put it lined in a couple of videos. When it comes to this scenario, let's see what Mr. Schwartz has in store for us, and I'll give my take and see if I agree or not, or kind of chime in here. So let's see how he goes within here. So the first one entering the 2020 offseason, which will be in the fall-winter section. So he's proposing the Sixers, Kings swap Al Horford and Harrison Barnes. Let's go a little deeper into here. So he's proposing, as one of these 7 trade offers, that the Philadelphia 76ers, they'll give away Al Horford and a 2021 second-round pick to the Sacramento Kings, and the Philadelphia Sixers in return will bring in Harrison Barnes. Okay, if I'm the Sixers, I'm taking that trade. I know Harrison Barnes has around, I think, 2 to 3 years left on his contract. I think it's around 20 mil per each. And then with Horford, he just signed a 4-year contract with the 76ers, and he's hovering around 34 years of age, kind of in that ballpark, or 32, 34, something like that. Yeah, listen, I made a video whenever it came to Elton Brand as the general manager. He made a big mistake signing Al Horford to that contract. Now, Horford is a great addition to the team. He doesn't fit in the starting lineup. He needs to come off the bench because him and Embiid can't coexist. It's too stagnant when you have, him, Embiid, and then you have Ben Simmons running the point. Al Horford would be perfect off the bench for that team as a veteran, but they should have signed him for at least around $15 million for 1 year. If they would have done like a 2-year deal, then $30 million to 2 years. But no, that's not the case. They signed him for around 25 mil for each year for 4 years straight. So Elton Brand, I don't know how he's going to be able to trade Al Horford. If they do trade it to Sacramento, which is not the case, you can't throw in just a second-round pick. Listen, the Kings are not going to take on that big contract for 3 years when they're trying to run a young class. Let's see what he says here, Mr. Schwartz. I think that's his last name. What's his name again? Yeah, Schwartz. Okay. He says the Al Horford experiment in Philly isn't working. The Sixers will great benefit. Yeah, the Sixers. Listen, if you trade away Al Horford for that big contract and in return you get Harrison Barnes, I think Harrison Barnes is a great fit to what the Philadelphia 76ers can install with their franchise and their team. You could slide him at the 3 and then put Tobias Harris at the 4. The 76ers are lacking kind of in that department. I've always proposed they need to move Ben Simmons to the 3, and they need to bring in like Ricky Rubio or DJ Augustine at the 1, to where Ben Simmons can bring up the ball 40% of the time. Rubio as well as DJ Augustine can bring it up 60%. Ben Simmons can still bring it up. He'll be a point forward, but he needs to be more of a mentality of a scoring. Being 6'10", that athletic, that big, and for him to be a point guard and very passive, that makes no sense. That's very soft. But no, the Kings would never accept that. That makes no sense whatsoever. Philadelphia, yeah, but if Philadelphia were to do that, even if they threw around a couple more picks, I don't think Sacramento would even eat that up as well. So, no, I disagree with that as well. Number 2, what he's got for us, Derrick Rose becomes a Los Angeles Laker. No, listen, before he even goes into the trade offer, no. The Lakers don't need Derrick Rose on their team. Listen, the Derrick Rose and LeBron James experiment back in 2018 with the Cleveland Cavaliers didn't work. It's not going to work. Derrick Rose is a starting point guard in this game, and with LeBron James pretty much being officially he's a small forward, but we all know he's the point guard for the team. They can't coexist. And Derrick Rose coming off the bench, that doesn't make sense. But let's see what Mr. Schwartz proposes here. So the Detroit Pistons, they're going to give away Derrick Rose, Luke Kennard, so pretty much their backcourt. In return, the Los Angeles Lakers will give away Kyle Kuzma, Alex Caruso, JaVale McGee, Talen Horton-Tucker, who hasn't played at all this season, and 2 second-round picks. If you're the Los Angeles Lakers, you're not going to do this. That's a terrible trade. Listen, JaVale McGee, his contract's going to expire anyways. So if they're going to sign him and then trade him, that's still not a good move. JaVale McGee is a perfect 5 to be in your front court with Anthony Davis. As you know, when you have those 2 twin towers, JaVale McGee can give you 2-3 blocks a game easily, 10 to 12 points, rack up numerous amounts, offensive boards, defensive. He can give you 10 boards easily. You can't really replace a JaVale McGee. I don't think anyone would have ever said that like 4 or 5 years ago when he was a Shaqtin' a Fool candidate, MVP all the time. But no, JaVale McGee, he's a starting center, a championship starting center in this league. He's 7 feet. He's very athletic. He's very wide, lengthy, and he's a great defensive monster. I would keep JaVale McGee. Listen, I think the Lakers should give away Kyle Kuzma. I don't like this trade whatsoever, and as well as giving away Alex Caruso. Caruso kind of gives me the vibes of a Matthew Dellavedova back into 2015, and Caruso is actually a more talented player. I think he's around 26 years of age. You know, everyone kind of thought he was younger, but with that bald head, that's not the case. But with Caruso, no, he's a culture setter, and the fans love him. You can't just give him away. The Lakers are going to have to keep all 3 of these cats as of right now. And even if you did trade away these 3 guys or 4 guys and bring in Derrick Rose, Luke Kennard, it wouldn't fit the team, let alone the chemistry. I don't like that at all whatsoever. If you're the Pistons, you're going to have to run with Derrick Rose and Blake Griffin for one more season. I know Blake Griffin maybe even opt into that $35 million year contract at the end of this season. So Detroit's pretty much stuck, and they're going to have to, be a team that fights to get into the playoffs. So pretty much have to build around, those guys. But I can care less. Detroit's a mess. With the Lakers, they're good where they're at. I think they're going to win the championship this year in 2020, and it will because of JaVale McGee as a starting center. Kuzma and Caruso will give you some sparks from time to time. But no, I don't like that. I don't like that trade whatsoever. So Mr. Schwartz is 0 for 2 as of right now. All right, number 3, the Denver Nuggets are going to land Buddy Hield. No, I don't like that trade. I don't really see him as a fit for that team. He's 6'3", he's around 27 years of age. And with Jamal Murray as the point guard around, was he like 23 right now? Maybe 24? I think it's around 23. I don't like that backcourt when it comes to those two, unless you put Buddy Hield as a 6-man. I think Buddy Hield will feel better if he were traded to like the Atlanta Hawks per se or the Philadelphia 76ers. I don't think with the Denver Nuggets he's much required. I know with the Denver Nuggets they'll pretty much have to – let's see what he has for the trade package. I'm very curious. Okay, so Denver, they're going to receive Buddy Hield. The Kings will receive Gary Harris, first-round pick, and then I don't know that forward. No, if you're the Sacramento Kings, you're not going to make this happen, and that's too little whenever it comes to it. Gary Harris has around 2 years left. I think $50 million for each year when it comes to it. I know the Denver would love to give away Gary Harris, maybe even a Will Barton in the mix, but you're not going to get Buddy Hield for that. Now, if the Denver Nuggets threw in another first-round pick, maybe the Sacramento made batch an eye. I wouldn't do that. Listen, if you're the Denver Nuggets, they're fine where they're at when it comes to Jamal Murray. You have Jokic. Depending what happens with Michael Porter Jr., now they are really going to have to look for a shooting guard for that team. I'm not really crazy about Buddy Hield being on the team. But for a power forward, you're going to have Paul Millsap, whose his contract's pretty much going to expire. He's going to be a free agent. So do you re-sign him when he's 35 years of age? Do you go another direction? Denver's in a very curious situation. I don't think Buddy Hield is the way to go. This move right here wouldn't scream to me the Nuggets would be able to get out of the second round. I just think it's not a vertical move, more of a lateral side to side or horizontal, whatever, when it comes to it. Aaron Gordon to the Thunder. I've actually thought about this. I really have thought about this in the past. I think Aaron Gordon needs to get out of Magic. Actually, let me flip it. I think the Orlando Magic need to let go of Aaron Gordon. This cat really hasn't progressed the way I expected him to be. He's been in the league for, 4 seasons, maybe even 5 right now, and he's been very stagnant. He just hasn't really progressed the way I expected him to. And being 6'8", undersized for a power forward position, that plays more kind of like a a Michael Beasley or Jason Tatum type, but he's not as skillful as a Tatum. He needs to put on more muscle, more weight. But let's see what they propose. So the Thunder will receive Aaron Gordon. They would give away to the Magic Dennis Schroeder and a 2020 first-round pick. No, if you're the Orlando Magic, you're not going to accept that at all whatsoever. They're probably going to let go of DJ Augustin, let alone Augustin will leave in free agency. They're going to run with Markelle Fultz at the point guard position. Dennis Schroeder is in the age right now to where he wants playing time. He wants to start for a team. He's kind of like in that Reggie Jackson phase, let alone the Terry Rozier. So I can see Dennis Schroeder even stay with the Thunder because he has 1 year left in his contract. He can start with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as the backcourt. I think they're going to let go of Chris Paul. I think a trade will be in place to take him to a contender. I think they're going to blow up that team with Chris Paul, maybe even Steven Adams. I would like Adams to stay on the team. But if you have a starting lineup of, what's the cat's name? Dennis Schroeder, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, at the 5, Steven Adams, at the 4, Aaron Gordon, and at the 3, that's really up in the air as of right now. I don't know who really the Oklahoma City Thunder could trade him for. I know they're not going to trade Chris Paul to the Magic. I doubt the Magic would do that. Maybe they would if they were that desperate because their team doesn't really have like a quote-unquote direction. They're just kind of in the middle of the pack, kind of like the Indiana Pacers. But overall, I mean, I would like Aaron Gordon on the Thunder. I think the Phoenix Suns should look to get Aaron Gordon as well. But it's just not a crazy, in-depth move when it comes to it. So I'm not too crazy about that one right there. Next one, Rudy Gobert and Miles Turner trade places. I'm really thinking no as it is, but let's see what happens here. So the Indiana Pacers, they're going to give away Miles Turner and Doug McDermott, and they're going to receive Rudy Gobert. Okay, well, if you're the Indiana Pacers, that's a great trade because Miles Turner and Sabonis have a terrible net rating playing together, one of the worst in the league as your front court. Those two cannot coexist as it is. They play fairly similar, that's why, and they're pretty much the same height. But yeah, if you're the Utah Jazz, they're trying to retool, but Miles Turner is not the way to go. You got to keep Rudy Gobert. If you are going to trade Rudy Gobert, you got to go for a starting small forward to pair with Donovan Mitchell. Maybe even bring back. If I'm the Jazz, what I want them to do is, I even made a video. I think they should really look into a starting lineup of bringing back Ricky Rubio, having Donovan Mitchell at the 2, trading for Gordon Hayward at the 3, also trading for LaMarcus Aldridge at the 4, then keeping Rudy Gobert at the 5. Donovan Mitchell is in his rookie year contract for the first 3 seasons, around $5 million, to where the Utah Jazz will actually have the cap space to make these deals work. But no, this doesn't make sense for the Jazz. They're trying to make a conference finals appearance, let alone make the second round a couple of years. No, I don't like this either. Let me see what Mr. Schwartz says here. So he says both the Senators could look for a change of scenery. The Utah Jazz nor the Pacers will be looking to dump them from the draft picks. Well, I mean, I get the Pacers side. That's a no-brainer to make that trade. But if you're Utah, I mean, even though Miles Turner is 4 years younger and his contract is $18 million a year, I don't like that pairing with him and Donovan Mitchell. You need to pair Donovan Mitchell with a true small forward when it comes to it. That looks like that's the end right here. I thought there was around 7 trade offers. I think it was around 4 that Mr. Schwartz proposed. That's not the case whatsoever on my side of things. Wait, let's see what he actually put the title here. Because I don't know if these are just kind of random ones or he said these were blockbusters. What did he say here? Most realistic potential trades of the offseason. No, Mr. Greg Schwartz, that's not the case. None of these were really realistic, nor make sense for any GM. But let alone the NBA, there's a bunch of GMs who are knuckleheads, like in the New York Knicks, the Detroit Pistons, Sacramento Kings, and pretty much all over the board. These cats don't really know what they're doing. It's everything pretty much just saving money, and that's why we don't see the best teams and best trade offers. So, I mean, it is what it is. I didn't like any of these trades. I'll probably make a video of the realistic trades on my side that I'll propose and put on here with you guys. But besides that, no, that's an L for Mr. Schwartz on my side. We're going to take on another Bleacher Report article, give my feedback and take. Basically, what they're looking at is the 2020-2021 NBA season. And retiring to that, they're going to look at the 2020 offseason. And they got some proposed trades right here. So 7 blockbuster NBA trades that would shake up the things in the next following season by Mr. Dan Favale. I've already looked at another Bleacher Report article in the past, and it was a mess when it came to their trade rumors and proposed packages. But hey, let's just go with the train. I'm going to give my feedback. I'm going to give my take. And let's see what Mr. Favale has to say about here when it comes to the first one. All right, so the first part will go up to Phoenix. So before I jump into this article, I haven't looked at the article or any of the proposed trades, that Mr. Favale's had. If I'm the Phoenix Suns general manager, you really got to make a big move because it's been 5 seasons with Devin Booker. They've gotten worse every single season when it comes to their record, which is crazy to think. It usually should be the other way around when you have a young stud like Devin Booker. They start the most wins they had were like 23 his rookie season, and every season they pretty much dropped 2 games, which is very scary. Devin Booker, as you know, he has his first All-Star appearance he's had within the season. Kudos to him. He's picked it up to where he's averaging around 25 points a game and pretty much can pick it up even more. But if you're Phoenix, I think they should go all out. Number one, they should go all out to bring in Karl-Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell. I know people are going to think that's unrealistic as it is. It's really not that hard, guys. It's very simple. Listen, if you're the Wolves, they've had 5-6 seasons with Cat. They're not going anywhere. They're not going to make the playoffs. Even bringing in D'Angelo Russell on the team, I know as a morale booster, these 3 want to play together, let alone Cat and D'Lo. And with the Minnesota Timberwolves, they would be interested in making this trade. Cat will pretty much demand a trade as it is in the next season or 2. So if you're the Karl-Anthony Towns and D'Lo, you would want to go to Phoenix with Devin Booker. I made a video in the past where you would have to bring a third team in the mix. I had the Denver Nuggets in that situation, and I'll pretty much kind of talk about it here real quick. So if you're the Phoenix Suns, you will actually receive D'Lo and Karl-Anthony Towns, as well as you'll have to eat up James Johnson, his contract with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Minnesota Timberwolves would actually receive DeAndre Ayton. They will receive the top 3 pick in the draft, which pretty much maybe would be James Wiseman, let alone pretty much a LaMelo Ball. They would receive Michael Porter Jr. from the Denver Nuggets. And I think there was another trade or two or another player or two within that. And then the Nuggets, they would receive Frank Kaminsky, Ricky Rubio, I think a couple more picks. But you guys can watch the video down below. Just search on my name for J2K. Then scroll down. It should be the video for rebuilding the Phoenix Suns. Somewhere in there, but if you go midway, I have the trade. But basically what I'm saying, long story short, Phoenix Suns, you should really look to get D'Lo as well as Karl-Anthony Towns and go all out for that direction because I don't know any other young player that you can pair with him. If not D'Lo alone, get Karl-Anthony Towns, but I know they would have to be packaged together. Let's just jump into it. I've been talking too much. So the Phoenix Suns, they're going to receive Aaron Gordon. The Orlando Magic will receive Kelly Oubre Jr., a 2020 second-round pick, Ty Jerome. I've said this in a previous video. I can see Aaron Gordon leaving the Orlando Magic. He should either go to, number one, I said the Phoenix Suns. Number 2, the Oklahoma City Thunder. I would, if they can't get Karl-Anthony Towns and D'Lo in a blockbuster trade like that, Aaron Gordon's a fine pick. I still don't see the Suns being a threat to make the playoffs. There's really no wiggle room the Suns can do to make any trade packages. This will be it will be a cool pick, but it's not something crazy. I know Kelly Oubre, he just injured himself, which he can be out for a couple weeks, let alone months. If you're the Suns, you may have to go with this style, go with this way. I'm not too crazy about it. I already said my piece when it came to the Suns, what they should be able to do. They're not going to make the playoffs, let alone next season as it is. Devin Booker needs to demand a trade. Another one for Phoenix. Okay, part 2. So the Phoenix Suns, they're going to give away Eli Kokobo. Contract must be guaranteed, of course. And a 2020 first-round pick Okay, and they will receive Luke Kennard as, so I guess he'll come off the bench as a shooting guard. I mean, what type of? I mean, wait, what was the title of this? Was this 7 blockbuster trades? Hold up, they put Luke Kennard as 7 blockbuster trades that would shake things up in 2021. Are you kidding me, Mr. Favale? Nah, no. What? Okay, I may have to end this video, but no, I don't like this trade at all. If you're only giving around, if you're giving away, a second round pick, I'll be fine with the Suns. But you're not going to give a first round pick to get Luke Kennard. No way. So he's 0 for 2 right now. I mean, these Bleacher Report trade, packages that they throw in these articles are always trash. But let me see what else. So the Philadelphia 76ers will shake up their core without moving Ben Simmons or Embiid. Let's see what they got. Okay. Hey, I've actually stated the 76ers, if anything, they should look for Buddy Hield as a shooting guard. This is one trade proposed. But listen, with the Sacramento Kings, they're not going to eat up Al Horford's massive 4-year contract or 3-year for $25 million each year. They're not going to do that. Let alone there's no sense for them. Listen, if they're only going to receive one first-round pick, that's stupid. But then again, Vlade Divac, he's a bonehead, so who knows with the Sacramento Kings these days. If you're the Philadelphia Sixers and this can go through, yeah, you make this happen. Corey Joseph is also a very underrated veteran for a point guard, so he has experience with the San Antonio Spurs. I don't think this is realistic for the Kings to actually do, but they are boneheads, so who knows. But yeah, Elton Brand, he gets a D for signing Al Horford to that big of a contract. And Al Horford's around 32, 33 years of age? Maybe even 34. I think he's around 32. And for a 4-year, over $100 million, that's asinine. But if you're the 76ers, I've always proposed on their side to move Ben Simmons to the 3, bring in Ricky Rubio or DJ Augustine at the 1. Ben Simmons, I think, will be better if he would actually attack more to the basket. He would play a true small forward position, a point forward as well. He can bring up the ball 40% of the time. But he needs to be more aggressive. Usually when he's a point guard, he's just very stagnant and he seems very lazy and nonchalant, kind of like how Lonzo Ball played, with the Lakers from time to time. I mean, it is what it is. But, I'm not crazy about this package. I don't think it's realistic, let alone it's not a blockbuster. But, if you're the Sixers, you can get Buddy Hield. That'll be a great 3-and-D, let alone a spot-up shooter for them to play in that Ben Simmons system. Okay, 4 trade. The Indiana Pacers, the Magic, and the Spurs. There's a 3-team trade. Okay. So let's see here. The Pacers, they're going to receive Aaron Gordon and Derrick White. The Magic, they're going to receive DeMar DeRozan. Listen, DeMar DeRozan is not going to opt into his contract. He's going to opt out. He's going to test himself in free agency, and he's going to get a 4-year max contract. He'll probably go back to the Toronto Raptors, I expect. If not that, he can probably sign with the Orlando Magic, the Atlanta Hawks, or there's not really a big team out there for him. Let's see. The Spurs will receive Ken Birch, the center, and James Ennis and Miles Turner. Listen, if you're the Spurs, yeah, you make this happen, but DeMar DeRozan is not going to opt into his contract. So that's number 1. The Spurs with Miles Turner, that's not a crazy pick. I know they're going young and rebuilding, so what the heck? If you're the Pacers, you want to let go of Miles Turner. Him and Sabonis have a terrible net rating whenever they're on the court together, one of the worst in the league. If you're the Pacers, you can let go of Miles Turner. But if they do bring in Aaron Gordon, are you going to slide Aaron Gordon to the 3? Because you have Sabonis at the 4. And Sabonis is not going to play a 5. I doubt it. He's too. That doesn't fit his game. He's more of a skillful, craftier player, and he doesn't want to go, be banging as a 5. No way with other centers. I don't think this is realistic. Let alone it's not a blockbuster. DeMar DeRozan is going to be a free agent. He's going to be able to exercise as an unrestricted free agent and make his decision. These aren't crazy moves for these teams. Not really any improvements. More kind of left to right. Those lateral movements, whatever. The New York Knicks aim for a turnaround, part 1. Okay, what we got in New York? Let's see what we got. They're going to get Chris Paul, and they're going to send the Thunder Kevin Knox, Dennis Smith Jr., Julius Randle, and Dallas's 2021 first-round pick. You know what? If you're the Thunder, it's not a bad trade. Listen, Chris Paul's an all-star player. He's a franchise player. But to win a championship, he has to be your second, let alone a third option. The Thunder already had a great experiment with him. They're going to probably lose in the first round, most likely. It was great on Chris Paul's career, let alone his value went up. So I know the Thunder are looking to rebuild for 2021, and this is the best opportunity to let go of Chris Paul, who has 1 year left on his contract. But then again, Chris Paul can be able to opt in after that year for another $40 million. So I know the Knicks are desperate. They're boneheads. They would make this decision, which I mean, it is what it is. They weren't going to get anywhere with Kevin Knox, Dennis Smith Jr., Julius Randle. They really denigrated Dennis Smith Jr., especially with their coach, David Fizdale. Dennis Smith Jr. was a stud whenever he was on the Mavericks. But with the Knicks, he wasn't getting playing time, and they weren't running him the right way. But if you're the Thunder, if you can rack up some young players and some more couple first-round picks or second-round picks for this, I mean, you may have to go with it if you're the Thunder when it comes to it. I'm trying to think of a starting lineup on their case. They could probably have Dennis Schroeder, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. At the 3, they could probably have Kevin Knox, Julius Randle at the 4, and then at the 5, Steven Adams. They probably are going to let Danilo Gallinaro walk, let alone he's going to sign probably with the Heat or another franchise. Andre Robertson, he's always constantly hurt. He's not going to be able to start or be really in that rotation as much. They may let go of Steven Adams in a trade package. Who knows? But, if you're the Knicks, you got to make a move. And if you bring Chris Paul, you're going to have to make a third-team trade to where if you make this deal go on, you can't get Chris Paul just by himself. You need a third-team trade to either bring in, maybe a DeMar DeRozan with him or I can't really think of another player. I just can't. I don't know what the Knicks are doing. They're in a terrible situation. Okay, the New York Knicks, part 2. Let's see what they got. So this is assuming they bring in Chris Paul with them, and then they'll look to pair him with Kevin Love. Listen, I've been saying this since 2016. Kevin Love is a glorified Ryan Anderson 2.0. Ever since he lost around 25 pounds coming from Minnesota to Cleveland, he's not as huskier anymore. So he's very skinny to where he can't really post you up anymore. He can't bang you on the boards, and he can't be able to, go in and do damage. He pretty much has to go pull for threes. You have to push him in the perimeter, and he's very inconsistent. He's not an all-star player, let alone will never be one in his future days with Kevin Love. He's not an all-star. He's more of I just say he's a glorified he's a glorified Ryan Anderson 2.0. I think Kevin Love is probably like an 80 overall, if anything. And he's injury prone. Not a cheap shot for him, but he does have, some mental issues as well. It's too much for him. And if you were to pair Chris Paul with Kevin Love, that's a terrible pick, man. They're not going to even make the playoffs when it comes to it. But they'll give away Taj Gibson. The Knicks pretty much bring veterans that don't make sense with young cats, so go ahead. Bobby Portis, whatever, a first-round pick. Depending on if it's their first-round pick, then nah, you don't do that. Because that team right there with Chris Paul and Kevin Love, they're going to be a best case, 34 and 48. No way. No, I just don't see it. And Chris Paul's going to be around 35, 36 years of age. He pretty much did his thing with the Thunder. He's not going to do the same thing with the Knicks. No. Last proposal trade here, quote-unquote blockbuster. The New Orleans Pelicans go for immediate contention. All right, let's see what we got here. They would pick up Bradley Beal, okay. They would give away Alexander Walker, who during his rookie season here, he's been very underrated. He needs more minutes, though. But Lonzo Ball, Jackson Hayes. So New Orleans first-round pick. LA Lakers first-round pick in 2021. Cleveland Cavaliers 2021 second-round pick. Second round. No. Okay, so if you're the Washington Wizards, you get flexibility by letting go of Bradley Beal, getting picks, and maybe building with Lonzo Ball. Personally, you can get a better trade for Bradley Beal. I'm not crazy about this at all. Only, what was it, 2 first-round picks and 3 second-round picks? There's no way. Nah. I mean, if you're the Pelicans, to receive Bradley Beal, thinking of a starting lineup of Drew Holiday, Bradley Beal, Brandon Ingram, Zion, and they'll probably have to bring another 5. I mean, the Pelicans, they're not going to start. They're not going to get a free agent that's a star because you already have Brandon Ingram, let alone Zion Williamson. I mean, if you're the Pelicans, yeah, you make this trade offer. You go for Bradley Beal, who's 27. I mean, I don't really want to rush the process if you're New Orleans. I think Lonzo Ball with that young group, they're going to build it together. I don't think you need to rush the process too quickly because if you bring in Bradley Beal, you're pretty much going to be pressurizing Zion and Brandon Ingram. I mean, if you're the Pelicans, I mean, if this is proposed to you, you're probably going to have to go with it. But, I mean, I'm not really crazy about that. The Wizards, they still need to let go of John Wall. I think they're going to run John Wall and Bradley Beal for one last season anyways. So, I mean, I don't really agree with that. But looks like these were the quote-unquote 7 blockbuster trades from let alone another article with Bleacher Report. Listen, none of these were blockbuster trades. The last one with Bradley Beal and Lonzo Ball, I mean, that would be, a trade that would definitely hit the news and people's attention if it were to happen to do so. But again, I'm going to make a video for another day. I'm actually going to put realistic trades that make sense for each team's direction and franchise. And I'll probably post it here in a couple of days or weeks or so. But I do have more videos more on that, looking down. But whenever it comes to, I forgot what the cat's name here. That was the article writer. But whenever it comes to this guy writing this article, wow, these were not blockbusters, let alone kind of a waste of time. But yeah, what a world. Listen, I've already gone through a couple Bleacher Report articles for trade rumors in the offseason. Pretty much have been terrible by all these authors in these articles. So we're going to ride with Mr. Jake Real over here for the 2020 NBA free agent class, as well as predictions for the markets, free agency signings, and potential transactions. So, let's jump into it, see if Mr. Real can actually surprise me here when it comes to it. So, number one, they have Anthony Davis, his rumors and predictions. When it comes to here, let's see what happens with Mr. Real. So with Mr. Real, what does he say here? So he believes he'll be back with the Los Angeles Lakers next season. Actually, let me give my prediction before I jump in. With Anthony Davis, yeah, of course, he needs to sign with the Lakers long term. You're going to have LeBron for another 2 seasons at least, then LeBron will retire. You're going to have at least one championship when that's the case. And with Anthony Davis right now, he knows he's a beta. He knows he's not an alpha, let alone a number one option for a team. He's cool playing that second role and kind of, being in the spotlight, but not too much attention. He lets LeBron do his thing. He knows LeBron wants to be the Beyonce, and and let alone Anthony Davis, he can kind of chill off, be the number 2 guy. I mean, he's cool with it. You can see with his demeanor. And let alone when he was number 1 option, he only made the playoffs twice in 7 seasons. So the Lakers make the most sense with him. And let alone LeBron's pretty much going to defer in different ways to AD, but LeBron's still the better player. Fred VanVleet, my predictions for him, where he should sign, I think he should look into, he's going to be able to get the bag anywhere he goes. Toronto can re-sign him for their bird rights. They can bring him back as a backup point guard for the team. I think he'll rack up at least $15 million a year. I think that's a good spot for him. Knowing the market and how these general managers operate, being tempted, let alone bribed, I think a team will give him probably $20 million at least, maybe like an Orlando Magic, possibly an Atlanta Hawks in that mix. But if I'm Fred VanVleet, I mean, you're in a great situation with Toronto. He may want to leave to be a starter on a team. He may want to go to Detroit, for example, if they let go of Derrick Rose. You can possibly go to the Miami Heat. I know the Heat probably wouldn't make that happen because they're trying to save cap space for Giannis and Victor Oladipo when it comes to it. But Fred VanVleet, he has a wide variety of different options. He's great as being in a contending team, kind of like a J.J. Barea role in 2011. A little more better than that, but I mean, hey, he has different places to choose from. So let's see what they say here. Mr. Real says, what does he say? $15, $18 million per season, or $18 million per season, totally reasonable. Yeah, that's what I was saying before here. I haven't read this article, but $15 million at least for Mr. Fred VanVleet, who's 26 years of age. So he thinks he will sign with the New York Knicks. So listen, the Knicks are a mess. They have cap space. They'll pretty much throw it to whoever. I won't be surprised if the Knicks and James Dolan and the crew actually made this happen. I mean, they're a mess. They're a crap show when it comes to it. I'm not surprised. I know he would go chase the bag, but with Toronto, with their bird rights, I think they can be able to easily give him at most $20 million to make him happy for a 3-year deal at least. Tristan Thompson, the Cleveland Cavaliers are a mess as it is. I think they'll probably let him go because they're going to re-sign, or Andre Drummond opted into his $30 million contract when it comes to that team. They'll probably let go Tristan Thompson. He's an unrestricted free agent. He may go to like a Charlotte Hornets. I mean, he doesn't really fit with these teams. And, it really stinks because in 2015, that's when the CBA, the TV deal kicked in, and we saw players like Evan Fournier, Chandler Parsons, Evan Turner, Luol Deng, Timothy Mozgov get paid, $15, $20 million, getting the bag, and which was stupid for these general managers to sign them for 4-year deals, let alone that much money. But now we're in a position to where there's not a lot of cap space for these teams to be flexible with. So Tristan Thompson, who's probably looking at $13 to $15 million a year, maybe even $18 million. I mean, that's kind of a stretch, probably 13 to 15. He'll probably have to settle for probably like $7 million or heck, maybe even a DeMarcus Cousins type to 1 year he has to take a veteran minimum. I mean, that's how it is when it comes to these general managers and their poor decision making. But they said the prediction will be he will join the Los Angeles Clippers. No, sir. Listen, Montrezl Harrell is going to be one of their top priorities this offseason. And with Montrezl Harrell, they do have the bird rights on him. They're going to re-sign him. They're going to bring in Montrezl Harrell and not bring in Thompson. That's just asinine if they let go of Montrezl Harrell to where he signs, for example, like to the Charlotte Hornets, and they just bring in Thompson. No way. No, sir. I think that's the article when it comes to this one. Actually, I want to jump into another article here real quickly because kind of save some time because that was only 5 minutes. But with Mr. Mills, no. Guys, I've posted around 3 videos right now for Bleacher Report articles back to back to back because I was very interested on what kind of these authors and what their predictions are. These have been trash so far, and I'm just being nice. I'm literally being nice to these guys. But let's see if Mandela Namaste within here. So predicting the top 20 NBA free agents who will jump ship. So this is a little more interesting. They can get a little more creative, but let's see if this is actually realistic as can be. So DeMar DeRozan with the San Antonio Spurs. I'll play along as well, Miss Namaste. So if DeMar DeRozan, he has a chance to opt into the Spurs, he's not going to do that. He can get paid somewhere else. He's going to utilize his rights as an unrestricted free agent. He will be one of the top 3, top 5 free agents in this class. Not saying that he's that good, but there's no star players when it comes to it. You only have Anthony Davis as highlighted as the number one tier. The number 2 tiers, you're going to have like DeMar DeRozan, Andre Drummond, then kind of tier after that, Serge Ibaka's of the world, DeMarcus Cousins, Fred VanVleet, Danilo Gallinari. This is not going to be a good free agency class. Pretty much with the 2021 season, we're going to see these players and these teams stay the same. So you can expect the Lakers, Clippers, now the Warriors being healthy, the Nets being healthy, the Bucks. Those are true contenders that can win the championship. But then you have respectable teams like the Heat, the Celtics, the Raptors. Some people, maybe even the Rockets, depending how they retool, but nothing crazy. But let's see what Ms. Namaste has to say here with DeMar DeRozan. Oh, yeah, before I give my pick, I actually see DeMar DeRozan leaving free agency. Like I said a couple minutes ago, he can get the bag, if he goes to like an Orlando Magic, a team that's desperate. Heck, if the New York Knicks bring in Chris Paul, they can throw him the bag. He may go to there. I think DeMar DeRozan, I think he is homesick and he really wants to go back to, I know he's from LA, but I think he's not homesick, but he's team sick of the Toronto Raptors. I really think that's what the Raptors need. They need that three back on their team since Kawhi left. I think they'll pretty much clear cap space, let Fran VanVleet go, maybe Serge Ibaka, Gasol, maybe a couple of those players or one or two. They'll bring in DeMar DeRozan for the last 4 seasons of his career, something along those lines, to reunite him with Kyle Lowry. I think that's the way he should go. Besides that, I don't really see another team. Maybe the Atlanta Hawks. I know they have a bunch of cap space, and Trae Young's very desperate to get into the playoffs. Maybe you sign DeMar DeRozan for a 2 to 3 year contract on that side. That's something that could probably go because they do have DeAndre Hunter and a couple cats, but they need someone in directly. So let's see what the prediction is for here. Let's see what they say. Facts, likely. Yeah, main complication. But star-hungry team like the Lakers, Knicks, or Timberwolves will be paying to push. So there's really, wow, they didn't put a prediction. They pretty much said either the Knicks, Lakers, or Wolves. Listen, the Lakers are not going to bring in a third star, let alone with DeMar DeRozan, unless he's very, not desperate, but he wants to go to a contending team and he wants to take a pay cut. These players like DeMar DeRozan, who's 30, he's not going to take a pay cut. He's going to get the bag. I'd be very surprised if he took a big pay cut to go to the Lakers. Again, like a team like the Knicks, only if you bring in like a Chris Paul to make it work. I still kind of doubt it. The Timberwolves, there's no way. Karl Anthony Towns and D'Lo, that team's a mess. They're not going to make the playoffs, let alone he doesn't want to join 4 years in an irrelevant team. Again, I think he should go to the Raptors. Goran Dragic with the Miami Heat. I mean, he's not a star player. He's not an all-star. He's right now in his career, he's a backup point guard for a championship contending team. He's not going to re-sign with the Miami Heat. I don't think they'll let him. He's been on that team for too long, for like 5 years or so, maybe 4. If you're Dragic, you want to be a backup point guard for a contending team. For him, he probably wants to get around $10 to $15 million. I think in this new day and age, he'll probably have to accept a $5 to $10 million deal with a certain type of team. And looking if that is the case, I can't really think of a contending team that could really use him as of right now. I mean, the Bucks are pretty much kind of set in their positions. I mean, that's a team he could possibly join for the low. Trying to think in the Eastern Conference if there's anything. He may have to re-sign with the Miami Heat, but if he does jump ship like in this article, he may have to be a backup point guard with the Houston Rockets, take $5 to $10 million right behind Russell Westbrook, if that's the case. I don't really see anything with Dragic. I mean, I could really care less. I think he would be a great fit with the Mavericks as well, being a backup point guard. But they have an abundant amount of point guards down there, so I mean, it is what it is. Let's see what they say here. Yeah, the Mavs almost had him on their team, but with Kelly what's the cat's name with the long hair? Kelly Olynyk, but I forgot why that trade didn't go down. Yeah, I don't really see what they say here who he'll sign with. But if that's the case, I mean, you have a couple contenders like that. I think maybe the Mavericks he should sign with on the low. Marc Gasol, Serge Ibaka, Kyle Lowry with the Raptors. Wow. And this was what I was talking about here. Well, Marc Gasol and Serge Ibaka, but you got to keep Kyle Lowry on the team. He's not a free agent, so let's see I wonder what they're talking about here. And that is actually the case because with Kyle Lowry, he's around, was he like 33 to 34 years of age? And if they want to, and listen, you have Marc Gasol, who's in his high 30s, or kind of in that mix, Serge Ibaka, who's getting there, and Kyle Lowry. You know, if you're the Raptors, they could probably pull the plug and let these guys walk or trade them off and just build off Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, maybe in Fred and Vliet. That could be, the new core for that team, especially if they don't bring a true free agent like DeMar DeRozan to return. If they don't, I could see him go that direction because, I mean, without Kawhi Leonard, they're not going to win a championship as it is. And you're really going to have to pair Pascal Siakam with a true small forward, an all-star. Not an all-star, but a young cat. I don't know who that is right now, but, I mean, those are two different directions when it comes to them. Eric Gordon and the Houston Rockets. I mean, we could probably see this happen. We've seen with the Rockets, they've lost Trevor Ariza down in the mix. In the past, they lost Dwight Howard. They've been changing. They brought in PJ Tucker 2 years ago. They brought in Russell Westbrook, let go of CP3. So, I mean, we've seen this with the Rockets. They're pretty much going to retool for their team. But he's not going to be a free agent, so they think they could probably trade him off. If you're going to trade away Eric Gordon, I mean, there's really no reason. I mean, you can't really find a player like him that he's pretty much been a great six-man for the team. Yeah, I'm going to skip over this. I may skip this article because it looks like these are just kind of out of there. But Draymond Green with the Warriors, there's no way he wants to leave, let alone the Warriors should let him go. Unless Giannis Antetokounmpo just pretty much they're going to sign him in 2022 and they have to let go of Draymond, which I don't see this to be the case. But let's see what they say right here, who they would give him up for. What's the reason? Okay. So the reason is if Joe Lacob, the owner, would have second thoughts on paying him on the luxury tax. No, that's not the case. That's not the case at all. Montrezl Harrell with the Clippers, I think he should go to the Charlotte Hornets. They're not going to get any big free agents. That would be the only one that can go with their young team when it comes to it. Uh, who did they say he would go with? Yeah, I'm gonna stop the article here. These Bleacher Report articles aren't in depth, let alone not realistic, and I don't like it within though. But those were the two articles talking about free agency signings potentially in the 2020 free agency class. So again, like I said before, I'm gonna make another video for another day, going more in depth of different trade packages realistically, let alone what each franchise needs to do for each of their teams and kind of the direction for 2021 and for this free agency and tradings in this offseason. So I'm going to leave it at that, guys. See you.